Hey, welcome back. Um, I'm Blake Green. I'm a cloud architect and AWS community builder. And today we are continuing through the CDK and Amplify workshop. Uh, in the previous part, we were able to deploy our backend. And today we're going to go through and set up the front end with our Next.js app. And deploy it through Amplify. So yeah, that's it. I got my coffee here and ready to dive in and make some more progress throughout the workshop. And yeah, so cheers. All right. So configuring the Next app. Now our API is created. We can use it in our app. The first thing we need to do is create a configuration file that we can consume in the Next.js app containing the AWS resources we just created using CDK. The CDK CLI created a new file in the root of the Next app called CDK exports.json, which we confirmed yesterday. What we need to do next is create a file that will take these values and make them consumable by the Amplify client library. To do so, create a file named AWS exports.js in the root of the Next front-end directory and add the following code. So for some reason, I ended up calling this directory CDK-next. I'm not sure why, but let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and rename it to Next Front End. I just think that makes way more sense. Now I'll bump up the font there a little bit. Okay, so in this the front end file now. Oh, I see. Okay, so maybe when I created the app, the Next app, maybe I called it Next Front End, but interesting. Let me take a peek at the folder structure in the workshop. Okay, so yeah, I got something wrong here. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna basically move the entire Next project back into the root. And then we'll just get rid of that other folder. There we go. Okay, I think we're back on track now. So we go back into the workshop. I'll go back down to okay, here's where we were. Okay, so we'll create a new file and we'll call it AWS-exports.js. And basically now we're just going to import our CDK exports. and then we sort of make this this array of values in this config variable, which includes the project region, the user pools, basically everything that we're exporting in this CDK exports file. So I feel pretty comfortable with just copying and pasting that in there. Makes sense to me. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is configure our next app to be aware of the AWS configuration. We can do this by referencing the new AWS exports.js. Create a new file called configure amplify.js in the root of the Next.js app and add the following code. Configure amplify .js. And we're going to import amplify from amplify. And then, okay, so now we're using that config to configure amplify and tie it all together basically. Okay, so next open pages and then the app.js and import the amplify config with an import statement. So in app config, we'll say import figure amplify. Now our app is ready to start using our AWS services. Damn, that's pretty easy. I mean, to tie it all together, it didn't take that much to sort of add the Amplify configuration to the Next.js app. That's pretty compelling, right? Like it seems pretty easy, right? To like just get it up and running very quickly, which is always a good thing. Okay, so defining the client side GraphQL operations. Next, create a file in the root of the next front end folder named graphql.js. So in this folder, add the GraphQL operation definitions that we'll be needing for the client application. Okay, so now we add a new file and we call it graphql.js. And we use get post by ID, list post, post by username, create post, update post, and delete post. So we're adding the GraphQL operation definitions. that we'll be needing on the client side. Okay, so just adding this to because we've already deployed this. So I guess we're just mapping like the client side with the backend that we've already deployed through AppSync. But we'll just copy and paste this into this file. Yeah, I might have to circle back to this part because I'll be interested to see, how this looks on the inside the next app. Um, all right, so let's keep on going here. Interacting with the GraphQL API from Next.js, from the Next.js application, querying for data. Now that everything has been set up and the API has been deployed, we can begin interacting with it. The first thing we'll do is perform a query to fetch data from our API. To do so, we need to define the query, execute the query, store the data in our state, and then list the items in our UI. The main thing to notice in this component is the API call. Take a look at this piece of code. So it's in the comment here, it says call api.graphql, passing in the query that we'd like to execute. So it says const post data await api.graphql, and then query list posts. Well, we don't have, I think yesterday we ended up using the mutation. We deleted the post. So anyways, okay, so now we're going to go into back into pages, and then on index.js, we still have the boilerplate code from bootstrapping the Next.js app. So it looks like now we're going to start to add in our like our own code to, for the Amplify. I wonder if this is in addition to the boilerplate code, or if we should just delete all this in the. I think we do, right? Because here's a header that includes posts. Let's take another look at the workshop code to make sure. So in next front end, pages, index.js. Oh yeah, okay. So it looks like he just gets rid of a lot of the boilerplate code so that we can just sort of bare bones uh, work with the back end. So here we are. All right, so first we import use state, use effect from act, import link. Okay, so API is actually a module from the Amplify library. And then we import list post from okay, so this list post is from our GraphQL file here, right? And here it is right here. Basically, this is the same thing that we did inside of the same query that we did inside of the graphical editor in the AppSync dashboard yesterday. So maybe that's what it's doing is kind of like um, setting up the sort of the skeleton for which we queried the post, I believe, and it's just easier to import it into our index that way. Okay, so now we need to export default function home. Const post and set posts equals use state. So this is a React function, I guess. And that's going to just be an empty array. Oops. So use effect. Fetch post. So is that part of? Oh, I guess we'll find out. All right, so I'm pretty sure it's basically like we leave these like empty arrays or something, and then this next part we do an async function to fetch posts. Post data equals await API. Yeah, so like even here, inside VS Code is kind of giving us the structure of the data that we'll be fetching, but um, kind of curious on the this guy here. Let me see if we can Google this real quick. Like we're trying to work on fetching data. So there's like kind of a similar. You can optionally import the GraphQL operation helper. Yeah, I'm sure there's like more documentation to support that, but I was just kind of curious to see, more information on this specifically. But I think it's just like if we define the the query like we're doing here, and then we're just kind of passing that uh, into this like this async function to fetch the post. I think that's the idea here. And then it looks like okay, then it looks like we're actually console. We're logging out the response or something. Post data. Cool. All right. So now we return. Okay, and this is like basically our what we'll see on the web page here, right? So we want H1. This to be called posts. Post.map. Um, so post.map, and we want post index. Then we want link key equals index. Href. Okay, so we're just making it Hmm. Interesting. Oops. All right. So let's see here. So we wanted to link to each post.id that we pass in. If style equals link style. And then inside of the header 2, we want to get the post title. And then in the paragraph, author style. Not sure what those are. What like the style property is, but so author will equal the post dot owner. And I think that is it. Oh, okay. So here it's just a little like custom CSS, I believe um, that you know makes it look good, I guess, within short and dirty. I'm starting to realize like the more that I've like uh, so I was told I was okay. Got a weird comment on Twitch, but I don't know if I should show it. It's kind of uh the Thunder Llama. Um, made some racist TikToks. Yikes. Oh, you didn't make him. Do videos of trucks and buddies. I'm not sure, man. Sorry. I'm not an expert on that. All right. So, anyways, um, I'm sorry to hear that. that that's tough. Maybe they aren't your friends after all. All good. All good. All right. So it looks like we've finished our front end. I was just about to say, like, um, you know, the more I've started to code on this front end stuff, I'm realizing that I enjoy working with like back end resources and deploying infrastructure rather than this JavaScript and HTML stuff. It's not really my sweet spot. But anyways, we can go ahead and looks like we can start the app now and see if this is actually all working properly. And we just run npm run dev. Oh, gotta actually cd into the front end. So next front end, and then npm run dev. Oh, npm install. Npm install downloads the half of the internet. So if we read ahead a little bit, it says you should be able to view the list of posts. You will not yet be able to click on the post to navigate to the detailed view. That is coming up later. So I think we should be able to click on this guy. I love how code spaces like automatically does the port forwarding for you. Um, so we can see our post header here, which is good, but it doesn't look like we're seeing a list. Oh, well, we don't have any posts, right? So I wonder if I log into, let's log into the AppSync console again and like create a post, and then we'll refresh the dev our dev site here and see if it pulls like our test post. Because basically right now it's fetching no data at all. Um, so let me bring over the AppSync console, and if I bring this over, let's bring it over here actually. um, and if I log in, oh wow, it still has me logged in as Blake. So um, let's go back up to here, right? Because this is where we in the previous part we were in the AppSync dashboard and creating using this create post mutation to create a test post. And so let me expand this guy here. And then if we just add this guy and then run it, we should now see that we have some data. We created a post. The title is called My First Post. Content says Hello World, and Blake is the owner. And so hopefully if we refresh our dev instance here, we should see it so it went out and refetched it, and now you can see we have like an actual post. So again, if I went in here again and said created another post, and we call it 2 and say my second post, hello world again, right? And if I run that again, we're create another post, and then if we refresh, there's the second post. So our front end is successfully reaching out to our AppSync API and fetching the data on the front end. So far so good. Okay, so if we see, let's take a look at what's next. Adding authentication. So next, let's add a profile screen and login flow to the app. To do so, create a new file called profile.js in the pages directory and add the following code. So I think we can just exit out of our dev site here. And let's take a look at the pages directory, which we're already in. Create a new file called profile.js. All right. So again, we're going to use the Amplify library to bring in these like helper authenticator and Amplify sign out. At AWS Amplify. Is that right? Yeah. All right. And then again with the from AWS Amplify import use state. All right, so now we're going to create a function called profile. Function profile. I'm going to say const user set user. equals use state. We set that to null. Use effect. So I'm not too familiar with like what we're really doing here. Like, I guess it's like we're just setting this. Set user, set use state is null, use effect. I'm not sure what that is. Accepts a function that contains imperative, possibly effectful code, whatever that means. I guess we're just trying to check if like user exists or something. Anyways, we'll keep going. Function check. Okay, so check user. User equals await. So the auth is a class from the Amplify library. Current authenticated user. Okay. Get current authenticated user. Okay, that's cool. Set user. Okay, so maybe this is just like some we're like setting the state as like nothing, right? At first here. And then basically we check to see if the user is a current authenticated user. And then we pass in that user to this state. So it's kind of like setting like a blank array and then passing data into it. And we set that to the user, right? Okay. So if then we add some logic that says like if a user isn't authenticated. So if user is not authenticated, return null. And then we need to add some JavaScript here. So div h2, we'll call it profile. Let me get rid of this terminal here. Right, and then h3. Oops. Username. Then we're getting the data for the username. We can also put in their email address. So user attributes email. And then finally, we can use Amplify sign out. And then we just say export default with authenticator. And then we pass in our profile function. Cool. So it adds a little bit of documentation here. It says the with authenticator Amplify UI component will scaffold out an entire authentication flow to allow users to sign up and sign in. The Amplify sign out button adds a pre-style sign out button. Again, this is all in like the amplified docs. Like if you go into the amplified docs and take a look at, we're using the UI React package here, and then like it says, there's this authenticator component. Just comes pre-styled, and we'll see that here soon. Next, add some styling to the UI component and our future rendered markdown by opening styles/globals.cs and add the following code. So I hate CSS, but okay, so styles and then globals CSS. And then I'm assuming we just, like we did last time, we just sort of replace instead of, we probably just replace it instead of like adding to it. I'm assuming. I'm not sure though. So we'll take another look at the reference to it, right? So in the next front end, if we look at styles, global CSS. Okay, so it is actually in addition to the CSS that's already in there. You can see just adds this stuff here. So I'm just going to copy and paste that into our globals.css. You can kind of see, I like how, the VS Code extension, I think it's already telling us, what colors these are. We could change that as well. The background color. Pretty nice. Okay, so if we head back to where were we? Okay, so here's the CSS that we just added. Okay, next, open pages slash app.js to add some navigation and styling to be able to navigate to the new profile page. Okay. So in pages and then app.js, pretty bare bones right now. So we've already have the globals.css. We have our configure amplify. We don't have this. And we're using link as well from the next. Okay, So we already have the function myapp and then component and page props. And basically we're just returning the component of the page props. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And we will add a div. And then we need a nav bar that has style equals nav style. And we want link equals href. And then this is going to go to the root. And then we want a span style equals link style. It's home, right? Okay, and then another link. So this is like, I think this is what goes on the nav bar across the top, right? So link href equals profile. And then that is going to span style equals link style. So we'll have like home, like in the nav bar, it'll say like home and profile. And then we add another div here. Just cut that off here and say components. Page props. Oh, we have to close off this guy here like that. All right, looking good. And then the footer class name equals styles footer. Okay. Oh, it's just adding some Vercel stuff here. I don't know if we actually need that. Whatever. I'll just copy this in because just make it look nice, I guess. This needs to go over one. All right, cool. And then, yeah, then the, I guess this custom style. Cool. So now should look a little bit better, and we should have an authentication profile set up. So we'll run or npm run dev again and open up localhost 3000. Let's see if it works. Looks good so far. We got our nav bar here. We also still have our posts. We have the footer that we just added. What else? Oh, did I miss? I totally missed this other create post link. Whoops. I did. I'll just paste that guy in there. Oh, that formatted bad. There we go. Okay. So if we refresh, oh, it already did it for us. So create post is in there now. Now it says you should now be able to sign in and view your profile and also sign up new accounts. The link to create post will not yet work as we have not yet created this page. So it didn't prompt us to like log in with the Amplify authentication. Oh, okay, here goes. So I guess if you go home, you could see all of the posts, but as soon as you try to like log into your profile, submit, the documentation doesn't really specify that, but it looks like as soon as you try to access your own profile is when you're prompted for authentication. So let's see if I can actually use like the same login that I've logged in to the AppSync console with, using our Cognito user pools to log into our application here. So my username was Blake, then my password. See if I can sign in. Uh-oh. We could just skip right here. Okay. So it works. So I've successfully logged in with my username. There's the test email that I used. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. And the create post doesn't work yet because we haven't created that page. So yeah, I can sign out, sign in. We can create an account, which I think we'll try to do later, and then add another, so we can create more posts, right? Yeah, that doesn't work. Cool. All right. So making an authorized request, creating posts. to authenticated API calls from the Next.js client, the authorization type needs to be specified in the query or mutation. Here is an example of how this looks. Post data, await API .graphql. Okay, so yeah, we're just specifying the mutation, which is create post. Basically similar to what we did here to create these like these test posts, right? Right. So let's create the page that will allow users to create a new post using an authenticated request. Adding the create post form and page. Create a new page at pages/create post.js and add the following code. So we can exit out of our dev site here. And now if we go back into here, pages, and we create a new file called create-post.js. Uh-oh, we got the UUID we had troubles with that yesterday, so hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us. But okay, so we're importing the next router, simple MDE, React simple MDE editor. So I think that's like basically a library or module that we're going to use to create markdown files for new posts, and then obviously bringing in our create post from our GraphQL file. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste the imports because that's the least fun part about writing code. So const initial state equals so for this it appears that we're just creating sort of a blank canvas to start with. And then now we'll create a function that's called create post. And again, post equals use state. Right. Yeah. So here we're just kind of setting it as nothing unless we go to actually create a post, right? So const is title. Now we set the next router. Function on change equals E. Look for error. Set post target name. So I think this is a bit of error handling here that we're trying to implement in case something were to happen. Let me just. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think we're just kind of setting some error handling just in case like the set post errors out. It helps us troubleshoot later. And then now we just write an async function, create new post. And then we're adding some logic here that says if title or content turn const be maybe now I think we might be in a bit of trouble here because we yesterday I changed the UUID in the Lambda. Um, we ended up using the AWS request ID from the context object in the Lambda versus adding the UUID layer into Lambda. So hopefully it's not. I don't think so. I think this it might be just yeah, we'll have to see. That might get a little interesting. UUID post dot ID equals ID. And then we're gonna await API dot GraphQL. And then we're gonna pass in query equals create post. Variables. Executes a GraphQL operation. So that will be post auth mode. Amazon Cognito user. Router.push. Container style. And then we're gonna do an H2 for create new post. And then we're gonna do an input form. Input on change equals on change. Name equals title. Placeholder equals title. Value equals post dot title. Style equals input style. And we close that input form. And then we use the simple MDE. And then the value is equal to post dot content. So it's okay, yeah. So it's basically passing in post dot content. Let's just keep going because it's kind of a little confusing, but on change equals value oh okay, so value is set post. This is how we're passing in the data from the input. Dash. Whoops. All right, and then we give the button style equals button style. And then on click, we say create new post. Ah, create post. Cool. So whenever you click the button, it fires off this function and posts basically, or yeah, creates new post with this guy here. We specify the query, which is create post, and then we're passing in all the variables that are inside of, the input or inside of this post, right? So title and content equals post. Yeah. And then basically we're just specifying from the input, in the create post form, which includes the title and, all that data, it's just getting passed in and posted to our API. Very cool. And then finally, there's just a little bit of this custom CSS that I'm not even going to try to understand. And then there's one last thing, which is making sure that we can create posts as an authenticated user, right? So if you're not authenticated, you can't create a post, and we'll test that out. All right, so it says this will render a form in a markdown editor, allowing users to create new posts. Next, create a new folder in the pages directory called posts and a file called id.js within that folder. In pages posts id.js, add the following code. So pages, so we need to create a new folder in here called posts. And then a new file in posts called id.js, like that. And now we are going to React Markdown. Looks like we're also bringing in the list post and get post by ID, right? So let's bring in our import statements. This guy. All right. So now we are going to say export default function post. And console.log. If router is fallback, return a div called loading. I don't know why that would be. I guess just some, air handling there. But we want to return div which includes um, the post title, right? And trying to make this all dynamic, it appears, right? So that div style equals markdown. Act markdown children equals post dot content. Created by post dot owner. Okay. So basically, we're just getting some data from the posts that are created. Next, we're gonna say export async function get static paths. Const post data equals await API GraphQL. And then we want to, use that GraphQL query operation to list posts. I think that's it, right? Yeah. Right. And then, okay, and then const paths equals post data dot data is post. Okay, and then we want to map each post to params. Okay. Finally, we want to return paths fallback equals true. So it says down here, it says this page uses get static paths to dynamically create pages at build time based on posts coming back from the API. We also use the fallback flag to enable fallback routes for dynamic statically generated page generation. So I think that's like a next JS thing that we use. Get static paths to dynamically create pages at build time based on the posts coming back from the API. So it's basically saying like, go, use this GraphQL list post operations based on that data that you get back, uh, basically get all of these paths that we can use. So I think like when you look at it from the home page, right, you want to be able to like, build all of these pages at the build time rather than, I don't know. We'll keep going and maybe it'll make more sense later. Okay, finally, we just need to get static props, which is used to enable the post data to be passed into the page as props at build time. Okay. Yeah. So exports async function get static props. We can pass in the params. Oops. Const d equals params. Post data equals, okay, so we're getting the data from the GraphQL API again. QL query get post by ID variables are from the post ID. So far, so good. Return props post. Post. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, and then we just add this markdown style CSS. Good deal. Okay, awesome. So now we are again testing it out. So yeah, let's run it again. I'm gonna exit out of that guy, but so now it says you should be able to create new posts and view them dynamically. Let's see. Create post. Well, that's good. So the with authenticator is working because it's prompting us to log in first before we are able to actually create a post. So we log in, we can skip the verification, and we are now greeted with this nice like create new post form, which we can pass in. We can pass in. Oh, it's not. Can't edit. Let's see. Edit here. Interesting. The name. Oh, I wonder if that's. That's so weird. So I named this title, which was the same as the placeholder. Maybe that was what was causing it. But so now I can say like my third post, right? And I can say this is my third. This is nice. Like you can see there's a little bit of metadata down here that says the amount of words and lines that are in here. We can make it bold and add headers. So it's a pretty nice little form here that we're using the what was it called again? The simple MDE, I guess. So yeah, let's go ahead and hit create post here, see what happens. I'm not sure if that actually worked. No. My third post. Well, you can see that little loading button down at the bottom, but oh, there it goes. So it just takes a minute to actually post. But now you can kind of see see like what it looks like after you posted it. And then if we go to the home button or the home screen here, now you can see my third post. Right. And so I wonder what the profile looks like. Okay, so I'm still just signed. It just basically the profile just tells you if you're signed in or not. I thought it might list all of the posts that you like you created, but I guess that's what the home button does and allows you to see the author. Um, but cool, looks like it is working properly. Um, to run a build and test it out. We can run npm run build and npm start. So let's give that a try. While that's going, kind of just look ahead a little bit. I think I might call it a stream here. This has been a little bit longer than usual, but I think we made a lot of progress on building out the front end. It looks like there might be just a few minor, updates to the front end that we need to add, but for the most part, it seems like it's all working together. We're able to sort of use the front end application to work with the back end resources that we deployed through the CDK. So yeah, I think we'll call it a stream there, and we'll pick up on probably the final piece, which will be part 5 of the workshop, and going through the rest of this here. So hopefully I'll do that tomorrow at the same time. So the Thunder Llama, if you're still out there, sorry that your friends are calling you names like that, but hope you have a good one, man, and cheers. Thanks